We don't come back from commercial. We're right here in the music magazine, the Creole magazine in Tele Islas evening them. And we have an invited guest who we know wait no more to present to. We have a mighty talent connect with we live today talking about the soca king. That is no doubt at all. Edwin Yearwood, Mr. Edwin. Good evening.
Hola.
Ay, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Why, you speaking Spanish on us? How you doing, General? How is it?
I'm good. How is everyone? Everyone doing well?
Everything cool this side, man.
Okay.
Thank God and thanks for having you in the program today. We give you thanks as well for accepting the invitation. It's a real privilege and honor to have you here. You have many hit songs, but I imagine you presence that one time you was in the Green Moon Festival in 2013 here in San Andres Island, or you forget already?
No, cannot forget that. Cannot forget that. That was beautiful. That was awesome.
Okay, okay.
Very wonderful. Actually, you have heard about you ever hear about San Andres before you came here in that occasion?
Yes, but I didn't hear about the music festival. I didn't know about the music festival, but I knew of San Andres from going to Colombia, from going to Cartagena a few times. I learned a bit about San Andres.
Okay, okay. Well, we know society is from Barbados, highly influenced and inspired by soca music. So far, you consider one of the soca kingdom. And soca mark you in a special way that you formed a band in 1989, which is Crossfire, where we know popular this side, and you have, as well as some hit songs, some special songs where one time our native people play sound systems or having a nice time, then go back to soca music and then go back to Edwin Yearwood. How was the beginning from Edwin Yearwood, and what was into you to form that band into 1989?
The beginning for Edwin Yearwood is that I was studying to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And yeah, I was walking home from school, and some guys who were into music, they were looking for me, and they drove by as I was walking home from school and asked me if I wanted to come. They invited me to be a part of a band. So I went and sang with the band and in a hotel, and we were doing a lot of performances on the hotel, but I wanted more and some of the guys wanted more, so we came out of that band and started Crossfire. That's how Crossfire started. And that was, wow, that's a while ago.
Yeah, a good while ago.
You have a song named Pump Me Up, which is, I think, is the first song we heard here in the island, and it marked about 10 years of music and still sounding a lot. How the song burn?
So how
the song was born? How the song was born? Pump Me Up.
How the song was made?
Yeah.
You know, I come from a very poor background, and what I used to do, I was able to get an old, what you call a Discman then. I got an old Discman,
Yeah.
and I got an old Walkman, and I would listen to the radio and walk for miles and walk for miles. And when I'm finished listening to the radio, I would walk to school and I would be tapping my hands, walking to a beat. So I was walking to a beat and I started to tap and the song started to come to me. I was walking, I'm gonna say, you know, and it took me about maybe 2 weeks to get, because I wasn't thinking of writing it, it's just that it was stuck in my head. So I decided maybe I should write this song. And I started to write it. And this gentleman by the name of Nicholas Branca, who is a huge producer in Barbados, I took it to him and said, you know, I would love to have a chance to record this song. And he would listen to it and he kept saying, this song isn't ready, take it back to the drawing board. And he did that to me for about a month. And then one day I decided, you know what? I'm going to his studio and I'm not moving until he listens completely to what I'm doing. So he gave me the opportunity, and I said, can I have a chance to record some back vocals? So I recorded the back vocals of the song, and then I sang the song over the back vocals, and he stopped it. He said, this is going to be a big hit, just like that. And that was the end of it. That's where the song came from. We just were jamming around and came up with everything else for the song.
And the oh gosh, where that come from?
Oh gosh.
It's just something that we say here in Barbados. You know, if you're in trouble, or you know, instead of calling bad words, you say, "Oh gosh, man."
Okay.
Okay.
Why
the song don't have a video? We do all kind of research for that video. We cannot find it.
It does have a video. I had a video from the year 1996 actually. It does have a video, but it's a video when we were very young.
Okay.
But we are doing over a Crossfire greatest hits. So we'll be doing videos to these songs.
Very, very nice and important as well, because if we look into this generation, we basically have like digital platforms and social media as the essential tool for embrace and enhance music. Well, it's good for, you know, like maybe put back out or some remix or something about hit songs that really mark history and important for the Caribbean culture in this case.
Well, we are planning to look. We're going to look into that and take our time and do it, because we don't want to do something and the quality is not the greatest, or rush it. Something like this, because the song was such an anthem for so long. We want that it is treasured, and we're going to do something for the archives, or for history, for what the song is all about. The song is not just about song and dance. The song is a protest. The song is. It's a social commentary, but nobody really understands that sometimes. It's about people crying down, poor people, crying down, judging black people, you know, how we dress, how we wear our dreads.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
That's what the song is a lot deeper than it sounds, you know? As you would hear the part, every day, them a cry me down, but I just out having fun. So we come from a time of being ridiculed and judged wrongfully, misjudged a lot. So that was an entire generation of people who were misjudged and seen as negative. So that was what the song was about. The song was basically saying, you know, I don't want to just be shooting people. I want to be somebody, and I want to have fun as well, like you, just like me. That's what that was about.
Important. How punctual that today we're talking in the program, how music help construct identity, for example, into the Caribbean island, them that's so attached to reggae, soca, and calypso, in your case to soca music. And I feel like soca music is a brand nowadays. If you see the artist is a soca brand, the crop over what we have in Barbados, the Bajan Creole, the Bajan culture into music, into soca, all them things are essentials, and it's interesting. Let's talk about the feeling from Edwin Yearwood, a Bajan artist. When time at the Caribbean island start to get your music, you start to impact different places in the world with your good music.
So you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, man. You know, the back time,
it's always difficult for me to come from that angle. Without, what I would have to say is that we were blessed. We were blessed beyond our dreams, and I am still living the dream. I'm still very grateful. What we did, we had a when we got into the band, when we started Crossfire, and we went out, we got a manager, we got some other people, some other professionals, and we sat at many meetings. We decided that the only way to go forward to make it would be to quit our day jobs and concentrate on music. And in Barbados, at that time, music was not seen as a viable career option. It wasn't seen as something taken seriously, you being a musician, because it wasn't paying you any money. So we started that, and we wanted to say we did like a 3-year, 4-year plan. The first year was to be to become a household name in Barbados. The second year would have been to start getting into the nightclubs in Barbados. And the third year was to record music. And the fourth year was to get out of Barbados. And we made so much sacrifices. You know, we've been through the hills in Jamaica with CDs on our backs, walking through the mountains, going to radio stations out of reach, going everywhere. We would do free concerts in Trinidad. We do free concerts in different parts of the Caribbean, even in Barbados, you know. And there's so much sacrifice we put into it. So I think we started to get back to what we put in, because we really didn't expect for these songs to go to another level, because we never went to a songwriting school or a musical school. We were just a few poor kids having a good time doing music. And I love soca music, so we really put it into the emphasis on soca music. So when it started to take off, we were in shock, because the same song "Pump Me Up" was not a big hit in Barbados when it was released. It wasn't. It became a big hit in Trinidad and the rest of the Caribbean before it became a big hit in Barbados. But when the DJs picked it up in those countries, it came back to Barbados then and started to be a huge hit. But we didn't know, because we weren't traveling much then. So the first place that we traveled to was Trinidad and Tobago. So when we got there, to be mobbed and to be loved and adored how we were adored was a shock for us. We didn't even know how to deal with it. We didn't know how to deal with people coming up to us and saying, "Hey, Edwin, you are amazing." We were like, these people, somebody tricking us. What the hell going on? You know, it was a culture shock for us. It was a culture shock for us. So when we left Trinidad and went through the Caribbean, it was like a sweep. So we left Trinidad, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, Dominica, the entire chain, Suriname. And when we got to some of these countries where the prime ministers and the heads of government came out to the airport tarmac to meet us, and microphones and television cameras in our faces, I was like, holy cow, what the hell is this? It was a culture shock. It was a culture shock. And I remember one of the guys coming in my ears and say, "Hey man, I think you're Michael Jackson now." And I was like, serious, no kidding. And when we looked up, I think it was Suriname, when we looked up, when we were finished talking to the leader of Suriname at that time, and we looked up at the airport, there were thousands of people waving at us around the airport, and I was like, what the hell is this? You know? So it was a culture shock. It was something to get used to, as for coming from a humble beginnings, knowing that we just dreamt about this, to becoming a serious heavy influence of soca music in the Caribbean and beyond it's still mind-boggling right now, but music is a very powerful thing, and that taught us that. It's a very powerful thing to connect people who speak different languages, to connect people who have different cultures, to connect people who have different problems around the world, you know, rich, poor, black, white, doesn't matter. Music is a very powerful, powerful drug. So that's the one thing that we got from all of this, is that we need to be responsible with our music and put out as much positive music as possible.
Well, General, I will tell you that Sarah is one of the biggest hits you have here in the island. But the real huge hit is Something Greater.
In San Andres?
In San Andres. Sarah is big, huge hit here. But Something Greater...
I didn't know that.
Something Greater is beyond. That is huge, huge. Would like to know something about Something Greater.
Well, Something Greater is a song. I wrote this song, I flew to Haiti.
Okay.
And it was the first time I flew to Haiti, and I landed in Haiti, and the level of poverty that I saw there. I come from poverty, but this was even worse, in my opinion. And when I saw it, my heart cried out. And when I left, I was on the plane and I was just thinking about it. And I was walking around because I do a lot of writing, driving or walking by myself. And I was walking around, and I remember before I left Barbados, outside was really dry. It was a really dry season. And when I returned to Barbados, the rain fell, and all of the cows and all the animals, the grass was green, lush green, and I just stood there and said to myself, you know, if you're not a Christian, you still have to accept and respect that there is a God, because there's no way that man could have come up with all these things that gives life, you know. And the song basically came from there. It was me thinking about my brothers and sisters around the world, oppressed by governments from other worlds. In other words, we were in situations where, like what's happening with the COVID, some government somewhere did something that we had nothing to do with, but the rest of the world is paying dearly for it, you know? And sometimes the only way to deal with stuff like this is to hold on to something, knowing that there's something greater than this, there's a higher power, and that we will get through it. And that's what the song is really all about. All of the ill things that people do, all of the ill things that politicians do around the world that affect the people who put them in power. It is never about the people, in my opinion. So what happens is that you put a politician, regardless of where you are in the world, in power with your vote, and it never reaches you. It never reaches you to change your life. Your life is never changed by what a politician does, besides make more mistakes with their judgment that affects you and your family and people around the world. So that's where the song really came from. And people always say, well, why would a guy at such a young age of 20 or whatever be thinking those things? But I don't know. I always had that kind of thing in my head.
Very, very nice, and good to know the history behind it. And I feel like Something Greater is a song that will never pass style, like how we say here in the island. It will always be a nice hit, because every day you're going to find some difficulties, some circumstances, obstacles, all kind of situations, and we must hold on, as how you said, to something greater. General, give it just a little piece.
It's almost self-explanatory. It's a part of life. Is, you know, if I can say quickly, you know, people who are rich, and that's what the song is about. There are people who are rich that want nothing to do with people who are poor. There are people who are white that want nothing to do with black people or brown people. But when we go into hospital and we're dying, we never ask, whose blood is that? A poor man's blood, or if is that a black man's blood that is going into me? I need a blood transfusion. Is that person a black person? Is that person a white person? Is that person a brown skinned person? We don't ask that. We just blood for the blood. You know, and that's what the song says. The song says, man still tries to separate his own brother with class and creed. Upper class, middle class, and lower class, with the lower following lead. Separation shows like a sore thumb, and it spreads out rapid and fast. Man on dying bed needs a donor's blood, because you request a certain class. You know, so that's what that's about.
Wow.
That's basically what that's about.
That's a great advice you have there, man. We want to thank you very much. We are so pleased to have you here. You don't imagine the emotion we feel to have you here, because you have marked a whole generation of music in the island, and we are very, very thankful.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
And we hope not to have you here only live through our program, The Music, but to have you back in any festivities or without excuse. Just come and visit San Andres, Paradise, and Catalina Island as your home, as another brother Caribbean island, anytime you're ready.
That would be wonderful, and I can't wait to return to San Andres. That is a surprising place. It's a beautiful place, and I can't wait to get back there in whatever capacity. It will be fantastic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edwin, and we wish you all have a nice and blessed evening.
Thank you. San Andres, oh gosh, see you soon.